Florence Parker's hand froze on the doorknob. Mr. Smith sat behind his desk, eyes closed, breathing shallow. Everyone knew Peter Smith never slept, the Mafia boss whose ice-blue eyes missed nothing, who'd built an empire on fear. She should leave, but her son Marcus needed shoes and medical debt crushed her monthly. She couldn't lose this job. Moving silently, her foot caught the cart's wheel. The Polish bottle tumbled, clattering loudly. Florence lunged, crashing against the desk inches from his arm. His eyes were still closed. Relief flooded her. Then she saw the papers, financial ledgers, names from the news, and a photograph of a little girl with dark curls. Interesting, isn't it? Florence spun. Peter Smith's eyes were open now, brilliant blue, sharp as glass. "I was testing you," he said, rising. "The last 3 maids tried to photograph documents, open my safe, poison my scotch. You tried to catch a bottle before it woke me." He picked up the photograph. "My daughter, Isabella. She would have been 5 next month." Florence's fear mixed with recognition. "I'm so sorry for your loss. Most people don't acknowledge she existed," he said quietly. "Tomorrow, clean my private quarters, 5th floor." As Florence left, she said, "My son draws pictures of his daddy, even though he's been gone 3 years. The people we love don't stop mattering." Peter Smith stood frozen, staring after her like she'd spoken in a forgotten language. That simple moment of connection had just changed both their lives forever. If you want to discover how this unexpected connection transforms Florence's desperate struggle into something neither she nor Peter could have predicted, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps bring more emotional stories like this one. Now let's see how their story unfolds. 6 months earlier, Florence had learned that survival had a sound, the 5 a.m. alarm, shuffling second-hand shoes, bills stamped overdue. She'd been a teacher once, but her mother's cancer had eaten through everything. Now she cleaned rich people's houses, where bathrooms were bigger than her apartment. The Parker estate job seemed too good to be true. The pay would finally let her breathe. She'd learned quickly that nothing about Peter Smith's world was simple. The estate sprawled across 15 acres, security cameras everywhere, men in dark suits with earpieces. Other staff spoke in hushed tones about the boss and advised seeing nothing, hearing nothing, saying nothing. Her first week was uneventful, cleaning unused rooms, polishing silverware that never left drawers. She'd glimpsed Peter Smith twice, surrounded by guards who moved like soldiers. Both times she'd felt a strange pull, not attraction exactly, more like recognition of loneliness, until the day she'd found him asleep in his study. Now, reporting for her first shift on the 5th floor, Florence's hands trembled on the elevator button. Mrs. Chen had given her a sharp look when delivering the assignment. "You must have impressed him. But remember, Mr. Smith values discretion above everything." The 5th floor screamed understated wealth. The master suite door stood ajar. The room was immaculate, except for a portrait above the fireplace, a beautiful woman holding the little girl from Peter's photo, both laughing, frozen in joy. They died together. Florence spun. Peter stood in the doorway, dressed casually in slacks and an unbuttoned white shirt. "Car accident. 3 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. He walked away without a scratch." "I'm so sorry." "The driver served 6 months. Peter's voice was bitter. 6 months for destroying my entire world." Florence found herself saying, "My son's father was killed in a robbery. They said wrong place, wrong time, like that makes it better." Peter's head turned, ice-blue eyes intense. "Is that why you work 2 jobs?" "This one and night shifts at the diner. My neighbor watches Marcus." She paused. "I should start cleaning." "How old is he?" 6. "Same age Isabella was when she died." Peter's jaw tightened. "Does he remember his father?" "Fragments, more feelings than memories." They stood in silence, 2 people destroyed by random violence. The connection Florence had felt crystallized into something sharp and real. "Clean the office. I'll be in the library," Peter said finally. "If you need anything—" "I won't. I'm very good at being invisible." "Everyone in my life is good at being invisible. It's refreshing to meet someone who's visible, even when trying not to be." 2 hours later, dusting the office bookshelves, Florence found something behind a first-edition Dostoevsky, a file folder marked with a name from the news, Senator Richard Morrison. Found dead last week. The news called it suicide. Inside, photographs, documents, bank statements, text messages about shipments, and a death certificate dated one day before Morrison's body was found. This wasn't suicide. This was murder Peter had committed or ordered. Florence's hands shook as she closed the folder, sliding it back exactly where she'd found it. She forced herself to continue dusting, to finish as if she'd seen nothing. But everything had changed. She was still wrestling with her conscience when Peter appeared in the doorway. "You're afraid of me." Florence's mouth went dry. "I'm not. Don't lie to me, Florence." He stepped closer. "Everyone is afraid of me. It's smart. Fear keeps people honest." "Then yes, I'm afraid of you. But you're still here. I need this job. That's all. Just the money." Florence met his gaze. "Isn't that all any of us work for, to survive?" Peter smiled, a real smile that transformed his face. "Most people want to survive away from me. You're choosing to clean my house, entering my private spaces. That's either very brave or very stupid. Maybe it's both." He laughed, genuine amusement. "I like you, Florence Parker. You don't treat me like a monster or a god. It's refreshing." "What happened to the drunk driver?" Florence heard herself ask. "The one who killed your family?" Peter's expression went glacial. "He walked away. That's not what I asked. He disappeared 6 months after serving his sentence. Some say Mexico. Some say witness protection." Peter's smile was sharp. "I say he got exactly what he deserved." Florence's chest tightened. "I understand." His eyes widened. "You understand?" "If someone hurt Marcus, I don't know what I'd do. I understand the temptation." Peter crossed the space between them, stopping close. "You're dangerous, Florence Parker. More dangerous than you know." Before she could ask what he meant, an alarm shrieked through the estate. Peter's entire demeanor changed instantly. He grabbed his phone, barking orders in rapid Italian. The door burst open. 2 security guards, weapons drawn. "Boss, breach in the south perimeter. 3 vehicles. Armed. They're coming for the house." Peter turned to Florence, eyes cold. "Get downstairs. Find Mrs. Chen. Tell her Protocol 7, now." "What's happening?" "Now, Florence!" She ran. The basement safe room smelled like concrete and fear. Florence pressed against the steel wall with 12 other staff members. Above them, muffled shouts, gunfire, heavy footsteps. "What's Protocol 7? Florence whispered to Mrs. Chen. "It means someone declared war on Mr. Smith." The fighting lasted 20 minutes, then sudden silence. Peter's voice over the radio. "Clear, all clear." When the door opened, Peter stood there, suit torn, blood on his knuckles but otherwise unharmed. "You," he said, looking at Florence, "come with me." He pulled her into corridors she'd never seen, deeper into the estate's underbelly. "They came for me. Rival family. They're not wrong about me encroaching on their territory." "Why did you pull me out?" He stopped, spinning to face her. "Because you found my file on Morrison today. And you didn't run to the police or try to blackmail me." "You knew? I left that file there on purpose to test you." His grip tightened. "Morrison was trafficking children, girls as young as 8. My organization does terrible things, but we don't traffic children, ever. The police were paid to look away, so I buried Morrison instead." Florence's stomach turned. "The police were being paid to look the other way, so I handled it." Peter stopped beside a grey sedan, pressing keys into her hand. "The attack on my estate is cover. They're really after people I care about. They're eliminating anyone I trust. I've worked for you for 2 weeks, and you're the only person in 3 years who's looked at me like I'm human." His voice cracked. "Which means they'll hurt you to hurt me. This car is clean. 10,000 cash in the glove box. Prepaid phone with my number. Drive to this address." He pressed a paper into her hand. "Marcus is already safe." He showed her security footage, a black SUV outside her building, 2 guards. "Your son is in protective custody. They'll try to use him against me. The Valentino family doesn't have my scruples about children. Why would they think hurting me would break you?" Peter cupped her face. "Because I looked at you, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something other than rage and grief. Because when you found evidence of murder, you tried to understand instead of judge. "Peter!" Gunfire erupted close. Peter swore in Italian. "Get in the car, drive to that address. Wait for me, don't open the door for anyone else." "What about you?" "I'm going to remind the Valentino family why people fear the name Smith." He turned to leave. Florence grabbed his arm. "Don't die." Peter looked at her hand on his arm, then at her face. Something shifted in his expression. "If I don't make it, there's a safe deposit box key in that car. Everything in it is yours. Use it to take care of Marcus. Disappear." "I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" "I want you to come back." Peter's eyes widened. Then he kissed her. Brief, fierce, desperate. His hand tangled in her hair while his gun hand stayed carefully away. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. "Get in the car. I'll find you when this is over." Florence drove to the address, a suburban house where a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a holstered gun answered the door. "Florence Parker, I'm Maria, Peter's sister. Your son is in the kitchen eating cookies." "Marcus." Florence found him at a table chatting with a tattooed guard who was doing dinosaur impressions. "Mama, these are the cool guys. They have earpieces like spies." The guard looked sheepish. "Thought it was better if he thought this was an adventure, Mom." Maria appeared. "Peter said you'd try to leave as soon as you knew Marcus was okay. That would be monumentally stupid. I can't just hide while Peter handles people who want to kill him." "Yes, you can." Maria's expression softened. "I've watched my brother turn himself into a machine over 3 years. Then he calls and says, 'I met someone, she's different. You're not just the maid anymore. Welcome to the family business.'" The phone Peter gave Florence buzzed. One text, "Stay alive, that's an order." She typed back, "Come back in one piece, that's not a request." 3 dots then, "Yes, ma'am." At 2 a.m., the door burst open. Peter stumbled through, supported by guards, blood streaming from a wound in his side. "Medical kit!" Maria rushed forward. Florence grabbed it, returning to find Maria cutting away Peter's shirt, revealing a gunshot wound. "Through and through, missed everything important. You're lucky, Fratello." Peter's eyes found Florence. "Marcus?" "Asleep upstairs. He's fine." "Good. That's—" He winced. "That's good." Florence knelt, taking his hand. His fingers closed around hers. "The Valentino family," she asked quietly, "won't be a problem anymore. Their leadership is dead." He said it so calmly. Florence should be horrified. Instead, she squeezed tighter. "Good. Good." Maria stared. "They wanted to hurt my son." Florence met Peter's gaze. "So yes. Good." Peter pulled their joined hands to his lips, kissing her knuckles. "Dangerous, I told you that you were dangerous. Rest. You can tell me I'm dangerous tomorrow." "Stay? Just until I fall asleep?" How could she refuse? Florence stayed, holding his hand while Maria stitched, while his breathing evened into sleep. She stayed as dawn broke through the windows. She stayed because somewhere between cleaning windows and finding murder files and being kissed goodbye, Florence Parker had stopped being just the maid, and Peter Smith had stopped being just her employer. Morning brought Marcus's voice. "You're a real superhero." Peter emerged from the guest room around 9, moving carefully but looking better. He'd showered, changed into jeans and a black Henley. Marcus gasped. "You fight bad guys. Are you like Batman?" Peter looked desperately at Florence for help. "Marcus, go help Aunt Maria in the kitchen." When they were alone, Peter sat carefully on the couch. "How's the wound?" "Painful but manageable." He studied her. "You didn't leave." "Where would I go? Your guards are still outside my apartment." The Valentinos had cousins. "They won't stay unhappy long. I'm arranging peace." He met her eyes. "But you and Marcus will be safe. That's non-negotiable." "Peter, I'm not your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment I kissed you." He took her hand. "Florence, people don't get close to me. They get close to my money, my power. But me, I'm an asset to leverage or a threat to eliminate. I'd accepted it. Then you tried to catch a bottle of wood polish and I realized I'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone care if I was sleeping peacefully. You were awake. I was. But you didn't know that. You tried to prevent disturbing me anyway. His thumb brushed her knuckles. Do you know how rare that is? Peter. Yesterday, when those men attacked, my first thought was you. Getting you safe. That's not normal for me and it's terrifying. Why? Because caring about people makes them targets. Isabella and her mother died because someone wanted to hurt me. I swore I'd never give anyone that leverage again. You can't live without connections. That's not living, that's surviving. Is there a difference? Yes. Surviving is going through the motions. Living is having something worth the effort. She squeezed his hand. Someone worth it. Are you saying I'm worth it? Before Florence could answer, Marcus careened back in, chocolate smeared. Mama, chocolate chips in the pancakes and on top. Marcus climbed between them. Who's Isabella? Is she your friend? She was my daughter, Peter said quietly. She would have been about your age. Where is she? In heaven, she and her mama had an accident. Marcus considered this. My daddy's in heaven too. Mama says he watches over us. Do you think Isabella and my daddy are friends in heaven? Maybe they play together so they're not lonely. Peter's composure cracked. His eyes went bright with unshed tears. Florence sent Marcus to finish breakfast. The moment they were alone, Peter stood abruptly, crossing to the window, fighting for control. Florence went to him, slipping her arms around his waist from behind. He stiffened, then relaxed. I'm sorry. He's 6. He doesn't understand. No. He gave me a gift, the idea that Isabella isn't alone. Peter turned in her arms. Thank you. I didn't do anything. You raised a kind child. In a world that tried to beat you down, you still raised a boy who worries about little girls in heaven being lonely. That's everything. Florence's vision blurred. Peter. He cupped her face, thumbs brushing away tears. I told you that you were dangerous. You make me feel things I swore I'd never feel again. You make me hope. Is that so terrible? It's terrifying, but I don't want to stop. They stood breathing the same air, chaos settling into something that might become tomorrow. This was insane, falling for a Mafia boss, his world of violence and danger. But his hands were gentle. His eyes held vulnerability that took more courage than violence. And when he kissed her, soft and careful, Florence stopped thinking about should and started thinking about want. The kiss deepened. Peter's hands slid into her hair while hers fisted in his shirt. Mama, are you kissing Mr. Peter? They sprang apart. Marcus stood in the doorway, face screwed up in confusion. I was just... Florence started. We were, Peter attempted. Gross, Marcus declared. Adults are weird. He disappeared, leaving them staring at each other in mortified silence. Then Peter started laughing. Real, genuine laughter. Florence found herself laughing too. Well, that's one way to get caught. By a 6-year-old with impeccable timing. Florence pressed her hands to her burning cheeks. Florence, I need to ask you something. Peter's tone turned serious. This, whatever this is becoming. It's not safe. My life will never be normal. There will always be threats, always danger. I can protect you, but I can't eliminate the risk entirely. Do you want this, knowing what it means? Or should I arrange a new identity for you and Marcus and walk away? Florence's heart hammered. He was offering her an out. Safety. Escape. But she thought about his smile when Marcus talked about heaven. The way he held her like she was precious. The vulnerability in his eyes. I want this, she heard herself say. I'm terrified, but I want this. Peter's expression cracked open, raw relief and joy. Are you sure? Once you're in my world, really in it, there's no going back. I'm sure. She took his hands. For 3 years, I've been barely surviving, working myself to exhaustion, drowning in debt, doing it alone. You make me feel less alone. Like maybe I don't have to carry everything by myself. You deserve more than survival. His voice was fierce, and I want to be the one who gives it to you. Before Florence could respond, the doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Peter's hand went to his concealed gun. Maria appeared, weapon drawn. "Expecting someone?" Maria asked. "No." Maria checked the camera, then relaxed. "It's Father Angelo." The door opened to a priest in his 70s. White hair, kind eyes. He took one look at the weapons and sighed. "Really, Peter, I'm a man of God, not a hitman." "Sorry, Father. Things have been tense." Father Angelo's eyes landed on Florence with interest. "And who might this be?" "This is Florence Parker," Peter said, tone making it clear this wasn't just an introduction. "Florence, Father Angelo has been my family's priest for 40 years. Father Angelo took Florence's hands warmly. "Any woman who can make Peter Smith look both terrified and hopeful simultaneously is someone I want to know." Peter's expression was pained. "Which is exactly why I need to talk to you, privately." They disappeared upstairs. Maria holstered her weapon. "Father Angelo is Peter's conscience, his counselor. He's asking for permission." "Permission for what?" "To pursue this. To bring you and Marcus into the family officially. Peter won't make the mistake of bringing innocent people into danger without preparation again." When they returned, Father Angelo asked, "Walk with me, Florence." Outside, he settled onto a bench. "Tell me about yourself. What do you love? What do you fear? What do you want?" Florence opened up about foster care, becoming a teacher, Marcus's father, drowning in debt, constant fear of failing her son. "And now? I want Marcus to have a childhood without worrying about money. And I want to stop being so tired, to have someone in my corner, to build something that lasts." With Peter, which sounds insane, but he's also gentle with Marcus and honest about his darkness, and somehow makes me feel safe. Father Angelo smiled. "Love rarely follows logic. Sometimes the most broken people fit together perfectly because they understand each other's jagged edges." He stood. "Peter asked me if pursuing you would be selfish, if he'd be putting you in danger for his own needs. What did you tell him? That sometimes the most selfless thing is allowing ourselves to be happy, to stop punishing ourselves for surviving when others didn't. But this decision isn't his alone. You deserve full knowledge and full agency." Inside, Peter was pacing. He spun when they entered. "Father Angelo says you need to tell me everything," Florence said. Peter's jaw tightened. "Are you sure?" "No. But I need to know anyway." They sent Marcus upstairs. Then Peter began talking. He told her about the Smith organization, territories across 3 states, moving money and goods no legitimate business would touch, maintaining power through fear and loyalty. About enemies who would always exist, the price on his head, the reality that normalcy would never be possible. Security 24/7, lives scrutinized, monitored, controlled, but also about his code. No trafficking, no involving civilians, protecting those under his protection absolutely. About legitimate businesses he was building, the slow transition toward legality. Community work no one knew about, families he supported, anonymous donations. "I'm not a good man," Peter finished roughly. "I've done terrible things for what I believe are acceptable reasons. But I'm trying to be better than I was, to build something Isabella would be proud of." Florence absorbed it all. Every logical cell screamed this was wrong, but she looked at Peter's face, vulnerability and fear of rejection, the hope he was trying to hide. "I have conditions," she said. Peter blinked. "Conditions? If we do this, I have non-negotiable conditions." A slow smile spread. "Name them." "Marcus is my priority, always. His safety, his happiness. If I ever think this is hurting him, we're done." "Agreed. I need to work. Something meaningful. I want to finish my teaching degree. I won't be just the Mafia boss's girlfriend doing nothing." "Already planning to pay for your degree next?" "Honesty. Complete honesty. If there's danger, if something affects Marcus or me, I need to know. That's going to be hard, but I'll try. What else?" "You said you're transitioning to legitimate business. I want a timeline. I need to know that eventually. Marcus won't be going to school in bulletproof cars." Peter was quiet. 10 years, maybe less. Most of my income is already from legitimate sources. Illegal stuff is less than 30% now, down from 90% 5 years ago. But completely clean? That's a process. 10 years. That's a long time. It is. But I promise, Florence, I'm working toward it. For Isabella's memory. For any future I might have. For you, if you'll give me the chance. She should say no. Instead, she crossed the space and took his hand. Okay. Okay? I'm terrified. This might be the stupidest decision ever, but okay, let's try this. Peter pulled her close, arms wrapping around her. I'll protect you, both of you. Nothing will touch you. I know. Father Angelo cleared his throat. Well then, congratulations, though I expect to see you both in confession soon. Separately. As Father Angelo left and Maria collected Marcus, Florence and Peter stood together, hands linked. So, I guess you're part of the family now, Peter said. I guess I am. Welcome to the chaos, Florence Parker. Thanks for having me, Peter Smith. Outside, security guards patrolled. 3 states away, the Valentino family's new leadership received Peter's peace terms. In Florence's apartment, unpaid bills sat on the table, reminders of a life becoming past tense. But in that moment, in Maria's safe house with morning light streaming through windows, Florence felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. She felt hope. 2 months passed in adjustment and revelation. Florence and Marcus moved into Peter's estate, into guest rooms initially, nothing presumptuous. Florence's debts were quietly, systematically erased. She protested. Peter pointed out that as his partner, her financial security was his security. Marcus adapted with childhood resilience. To him, this was adventure. A huge room, a yard like a park, guards who taught him chess and told edited stories. He called Peter Uncle Peter without prompting, and Peter's expression every time was equal parts pain and joy. Florence re-enrolled in her graduate program. Peter funded everything: tuition, books, stipend. She attended classes 3 days a week, while Marcus was at his new private school. But reminders this wasn't normal persisted, the security detail following her everywhere, the encrypted phone with a panic button, the night she found Peter at 3 a.m. with blood on his knuckles, staring at nothing. They navigated unprecedented territory. Peter had never brought anyone into his personal life like this. The physical side developed slowly. Peter insisted on separate rooms initially. The tension built with every casual touch and lingering glance, but tonight, everything would change. Florence descended the staircase in the emerald silk dress Peter had bought for tonight's charity gala. Maria had helped with hair and makeup, transforming her from cleaning lady to Mafia boss's consort. Peter waited at the bottom, devastating in a tuxedo. When he saw her, his expression made her knees weak. Dio mio. Florence, you're perfect. Stunning. She laughed nervously. This is my first public appearance as your... What am I exactly? You're mine, and I'm yours. That's all that matters. He kissed her hand. Fair warning, tonight will be intense. This gala attracts everyone who's anyone. They all know who I am. They're going to judge you, evaluate you, try to figure out if you're a weakness. So, no pressure. You've faced worse. These people, they're playing at being powerful. You actually are powerful, you just don't realize it yet. The gala was held at the city's most prestigious hotel. Crystal chandeliers, gold leaf ceilings, an orchestra. The crowd was beautiful people in expensive clothes, air-kissing and networking. Every head turned when they entered. Florence felt scrutiny's weight, saw surprise that Peter Smith had brought a date, heard whispered speculation. Peter's hand settled on her back, steady and grounding. Breathe. You belong here. I really don't. You belong anywhere I am. They made rounds. Peter introduced her to mayors, councilmen, business owners, socialites. Each introduction felt like a test, but Peter never left her side, until Victor Santini arrived. Peter tensed the moment the man entered. Victor was in his 50s, silver-haired, handsome, commanding attention effortlessly. Old enemy, Florence guessed. Former business partner. We had a disagreement 3 years ago about ethics. Tonight might be interesting. Victor spotted them within minutes, his eyes lit with something that made Florence's skin crawl. Peter. And this must be the mysterious woman. Victor's smile was all teeth. Victor Santini. Pleasure, miss. Parker. Florence Parker. She offered her hand, which Victor took and raised to his lips, lingering too long. Peter's jaw clenched. Parker. Not a name from our circles. How did you meet our dear Peter? I cleaned his house, Florence said bluntly. I was his maid. The room didn't actually stop, but it felt like it. Victor's eyebrows rose. How democratic of you, Peter. Florence is a graduate student finishing her master's in education, Peter said, voice dangerously calm. She's brilliant, compassionate, and far too good for this crowd, including me. Oh, I doubt that. Victor's eyes raked over Florence. Tell me, Miss Parker, has Peter told you about the incident 3 years ago, the one that ended our partnership? Victor, Peter warned. No? How curious. I would think that's relevant. That's enough. Walk away, Victor. Now. Or what? You'll make a scene at a charity gala. Victor stepped back, hands raised. Enjoy your evening, Miss Parker. I'm sure we'll see much more of each other. Florence watched him go, then looked at Peter. What was he talking about? Not here, later. Peter. Later. Please. The rest of the gala passed in a blur. They danced, made small talk, presented a united front. But Florence could feel Peter pulling away, retreating into himself. Back at the estate, he headed straight for his study. Florence followed. Peter, talk to me. There's nothing to talk about. Bullshit. She planted herself between him and his desk. Victor said something that's eating at you, tell me. Peter's control cracked. Fine. Victor brought me a proposal 3 years ago. Young women from Eastern Europe, promised jobs, forced into prostitution. Huge profits, he said, low risk. Florence's stomach turned. And you refused. I refused. Told him if he went through with it, I'd destroy him. We had a violent disagreement. He backed off. Peter's hands fisted. But tonight, the way he looked at you, like he was evaluating merchandise, it made me remember why I can't be soft. Peter, you asked if I was a good man. I said no. This is why. Because men like Victor exist, and the only language they understand is violence. Because my world is darkness, Florence, and you're going to see it eventually. Florence crossed to him, taking his face in her hands. I've seen it. I saw it the night the Valentinos attacked. I'm seeing it now, watching you torture yourself for having a conscience. You're not a bad man for refusing to traffic humans. That's the bare minimum of being decent. It's not enough. It's a start. You're building on it. Every choice to be better than you were, that matters. Victor wants you to feel like a monster. Don't give him that power. What if he's right? What if I am a criminal playing at morality? Then I'm an idiot for falling in love with you. The words hung in the air, shocking them both. Florence hadn't meant to say it, hadn't realized she felt it until the words left her mouth. Florence, Peter's voice cracked. I love you, she said firmly. I love you, Peter Smith, not despite your darkness, but including it. Because you're trying, because you're honest, because you protect the people you love with everything you have. I don't deserve, probably not, but we don't get what we deserve. We get what we fight for. She pulled his face down to hers. So, fight for this. Fight for us. Don't let Victor Santini steal what we're building. Peter's restraint shattered. He kissed her with desperation and hunger, years of loneliness pouring into the contact. Florence kissed back with equal fervor. They stumbled backward. Peter's hands were everywhere, her hair, her waist, the zipper of her dress. Florence tugged at his tuxedo jacket. Florence, Peter gasped. Are you sure? Shut up and take me upstairs. He laughed and swept her into his arms. Florence shrieked, clinging to his neck. Your wound is healed, has been for weeks. Stop giving me reasons to hesitate when all I want is you. They made it to his bedroom, the master suite Florence had cleaned months ago. Peter set her down carefully, then cupped her face. I love you too, he said quietly. I've loved you since you tried to catch that bottle of wood polish, since you offered condolences for Isabella, since you chose to stay when I gave you every reason to run. I love you, Florence Parker, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret taking a chance on me. That's a long time. Not nearly long enough. This kiss was different, slower, deeper, full of promise. They had the rest of the night, the rest of their lives if they were lucky. Florence let herself fall into it, into him, into this beautiful, terrifying thing they were building together. Somewhere in the estate, Marcus slept safely. Somewhere in the city, Victor Santini was probably plotting. Somewhere in the world, danger continued. But in this bedroom, in this moment, there was only love, and for now that was enough. The morning after, Florence woke to muffled voices from downstairs. She dressed quickly, following sounds to Peter's study, where she found him with Maria and 3 men she didn't recognize. Absolutely not. I don't care what kind of message it sends. Peter, be reasonable. Maria's voice was sharp. If we don't respond, Victor will think you're weak. Respond how? By starting a war that will put Florence and Marcus in the crossfire? No. Florence knocked. 5 heads turned. What's happened? Nothing to worry about. Don't. Florence stepped in. Don't shut me out. You promised. Peter sighed. Victor made a move last night, while we were at the gala. He hit one of our restaurants. Burned it to the ground. 3 people hospitalized. Florence's blood ran cold. Is this because of me? This is because Victor's been looking for an excuse to test me for months, Maria said. You're just convenient timing. But timing matters. One of the unknown men spoke. Late 50s, hard eyes. Boss, they're watching how you respond. If you don't hit back hard, every crew in the city will think they can take shots at the Smith organization. We respond legally, Peter said flatly. Hit Victor's legitimate interests. Business permits don't get renewed. Health inspections find violations. We use the system against him. That's not enough. That's what's happening. I'm not starting a shooting war, not with Florence and Marcus here. Not when we're this close to transitioning to legitimate operations. Florence stepped forward. He's right. All eyes turned. Victor wants Peter to overreact. He's baiting him into violence because that's the only language Victor speaks. But if Peter responds legally, uses legitimate channels, it proves he's more than just a thug. It shows strength through control. One man looked skeptical. With all respect, ma'am, you don't understand our world. You're right. But I understand bullies. I grew up in foster care with plenty who used their fists when they couldn't use their brains. The ones who scared me most weren't the obvious threats. They were the ones who played the long game, who used the system, who made you look like the problem. She met Peter's eyes. That's what you need to be. The one who plays smarter, not harder. Peter's expression shifted, pride mixing with love. Everyone out. I need to speak with Florence alone. When they were alone, Peter pulled her into his arms. Thank you. For what? For backing me up. For understanding what I'm trying to build. My men are loyal. But they grew up in a world where violence was the only answer. They don't understand I'm trying to create something different. Then show them. Make this work. And if Victor escalates anyway? Then we deal with it together. But let's try the high road first. Over 3 weeks, Peter's strategy played out. Victor's businesses faced regulatory scrutiny, building permits revoked, tax audits announced, key employees quit or were poached, nothing illegal, nothing traceable to the Smith organization. But the message was clear. Victor didn't take it well. The first sign was Marcus's school lockdown, a suspicious person on campus. By the time Peter and Florence arrived, it was resolved, just a confused parent. But the scare was enough. He's using Marcus to get to me, Peter said grimly, testing our security. So what do? We bring everyone closer. Marcus transfers to the private school on the estate. You do graduate work from home. No one leaves without full security. It felt like being caged, but Florence understood. 3 days later, the answer came. Florence was in the library when she heard a scream. She ran toward it, finding a young maid holding a box. What is it? The girl turned the box toward her. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a dead bird, a note pinned to its chest. Pretty birds belong in cages, or they get their wings clipped. Florence's stomach turned. Where's Peter? Downtown meeting, on his way back. The security radio crackled. All units to the front gate. We have a breach." Alarms blared. Security swarmed. Florence was rushed to the safe room with Marcus and other non-combatants. Through security feeds, she heard everything. Peter's voice barking orders, gunfire, controlled chaos. "Mama, I'm scared." Marcus pressed against her. "I know, baby, but Uncle Peter's keeping us safe." The fighting lasted 20 minutes, then silence. Peter's voice. "Clear. All clear." "Someone get the safe room door open." When the door opened, Peter stood there, suit torn, blood on his knuckles but otherwise unharmed. "You're okay." Florence launched at him. "Thank God." "I'm fine." He held her, then knelt to Marcus. "Hey, buddy, you okay? Did you beat the bad guys?" "We did. They're not coming back." "Good." Marcus hugged Peter fiercely. "I don't want anyone hurting my family." Over Marcus's head, Peter's eyes met Florence's. This had gone too far. "Victor?" she asked quietly. "In custody. He led the attack himself. Thought he could force me to react. Instead, he attacked my home with witnesses and cameras everywhere, handed me everything I needed to destroy him legally. What happens now? Now I make sure he never threatens my family again." The trial was swift. Victor Santini caught on multiple cameras attacking a private residence with armed men. 25 years minimum. No parole. Peter sat in the courtroom with Florence beside him, watching as Victor was led away. Their eyes met one final time. Victor smiled. Not predatory, but almost respectful. He'd tested Peter and lost. That night, Peter took Florence to the estate's roof garden. It overlooked the city, lights spreading in every direction. "I have something for you." Peter pulled a small box from his pocket. Florence's heart stopped. "Peter?" "It's not a ring. Not yet." He opened the box to reveal a key. "This is the key to a safe deposit box downtown. Inside is everything. Deeds, account numbers, legal documents. If anything happens to me, everything goes to you and Marcus. You'll be protected, free to live however you choose." "Peter, I don't want your money." "I know, but I need you to have it anyway. Because Victor was right. I have gone soft. I care about more than survival and revenge. I care about you and Marcus having a future." He cupped her face. "I love you. Florence Parker. And someday when this life is further behind us and I can offer you something closer to normal, I'm going to ask you to marry me. But until then, I need to know you're protected." Florence's eyes burned. "I love you too, and I don't need normal. I just need you. You have me. Every broken, violent, trying to be better piece of me." They stood together on the roof, looking out at a city that held both danger and possibility. Florence wasn't afraid anymore, not of Peter's world, not of threats, not of the unknown future, because she had something worth fighting for. They both did, and together they were building something no Victor Santini could destroy. 3 years later, Florence Parker Smith stood at the window of their shared office, watching Marcus play soccer in the yard with teammates from the estate's school. He was 9 now, long-limbed and laughing. Behind her, Peter's voice on a conference call, discussing another legitimate business opening, this one a community center in Florence's old neighborhood. His transition to legal operations was 70% complete now, ahead of schedule. They'd been married for 18 months, small wedding, just family and Father Angelo. Marcus had been ring-bearer and cried happy tears when Peter officially adopted him 6 months later. "Mrs. Smith?" Mrs. Chen appeared. "You have a visitor. From the teaching program." Florence smiled. "Send her in." The young woman was nervous, clutching a folder. "Mrs. Smith, I'm Amanda Rodriguez. About the scholarship program you founded? Please call me Florence." She gestured to a chair. "Tell me about yourself." Over the next hour, Florence learned about Amanda, single mother, working 2 jobs, trying to finish her teaching degree. By the meeting's end, Amanda had a full scholarship, a job offer at the estate school, and the beginning of hope. "Thank you," Amanda said, tears in her eyes. "You have no idea what this means." "I do, actually. Someone gave me the same chance once. Pay it forward someday. That's all I ask." After Amanda left, Peter emerged, pulling Florence into his arms. Another scholarship recipient. The 5th this semester. We're making a difference. We are. He kissed her temple. Isabella would be proud. She would. Florence had learned to talk about Isabella naturally, to acknowledge Peter's daughter as part of their family. How was your call? Good. The community center should open next month. Father Angelo wants to bless it. Peter hesitated. There's something else. Tony and Marco want to meet tomorrow. Concerns about the pace of transition. Think I'm moving too fast, leaving us vulnerable. What do you think? I think they're not wrong. We've made enemies going legitimate. People who preferred the old ways. He pulled back to look at her. This might get rough before it gets better. Florence took his face in her hands. Then we'll handle it, together, like we always do. Together, Peter echoed, smiling. From the yard, Marcus's voice. Uncle Peter, come play with us. Peter's smile widened. Duty calls. Want to join? Someone has to make sure you don't pull anything sliding into home base, old man. Old? I'm 38. Ancient, Florence teased, already heading for the door. They spent the afternoon playing soccer with children who didn't know the man teaching them to pass was once one of the most feared Mafia bosses in 3 states, who didn't see the scars or know the blood he'd shed, who just saw Uncle Peter, who was patient and kind and always showed up. That evening, after Marcus was in bed, Florence and Peter sat in their shared bedroom. Peter held her close, fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm. Do you ever regret it? He asked quietly. Choosing this life? Florence thought seriously. About the danger that still existed, security that followed them everywhere, the reality that Peter would never be completely free of his past. About nights he woke from nightmares, scars he carried, the weight of leading an organization transitioning from darkness to light. But she also thought about Marcus's laughter, about scholarships giving other women second chances, about the community center opening in her old neighborhood, about the man beside her who fought every day to be better, who loved her and her son with fierce devotion, who was building a legacy that would outlast the violence of his past. No, she said simply. I don't regret it. Not for a second. Peter's arms tightened. I love you, Florence. I love you too. They lay together as night deepened, 2 people who'd found each other in the unlikeliest circumstances, who'd chosen love despite every logical reason not to, who were building something beautiful from broken pieces. Everyone had known the Mafia boss was heartless. They'd feared his ice-blue eyes and whispered about his ruthlessness. They'd believed he was incapable of anything beyond violence and control. But Florence Parker had hugged him, had seen past the armor to the man beneath, had offered him something he'd thought he'd lost forever, hope. And Peter Smith, the heartless Mafia boss, had learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world was allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to love, to hope that tomorrow might be better than today. In the end, that was the greatest rebellion of all. This story has reached its end. If it touched your heart, if it made you believe in second chances and love's power to transform even the darkest souls, please leave your like and share it with someone who needs a reminder that everyone deserves happiness. Thank you for being part of Florence and Peter's journey. New stories coming soon. Until next time, keep believing in love's power to change everything.